We've all heard it. AI slop this, AI slop that. You know, if you use AI, you aren't really a writer. AI is just high-tech cheating. There's a huge stigma around the use of AI in all creative pursuits now. And my view is that while it is true, and I agree with them to this one extent, that AI is not a replacement for a writer, I believe it is a very powerful tool for a writer. I want to talk about why the entire concept of cheating is wrong. Why AI is helping people to finally tell stories they've always wanted to tell, but for various reasons could never get there. Stories that would have otherwise stayed locked away forever. Now, the first thing I want to address are things like copycats. This is one of the biggest areas of contention when it comes to the use of AI in art and in writing. Copycats. Are there people out there using AI to churn out dozens of low-quality look-alike novels in weeks? Yes. But here's the thing. Copycats aren't new. There have always been copycats. Okay? The Sword of Shannara and The Eye of the World, the first of the Wheel of Time series, are very close to The Lord of the Rings. Some people even accuse them of being beat-for-beat copies of Lord of the Rings. Now, in this case, the copycatting was done for a reason. That's what the publishers wanted. When these books, especially Sword of Shannara, because it was kind of the second big epic fantasy novel that got some success, publishers weren't sure about the genre yet. Lord of the Rings was kind of the only game in town. They wanted something very, very similar so they could prove that it was marketable, that it was something that could make them money, because that's what publishers are doing. They are a business. And Eye of the World, a little bit of the same thing. But if you read that first novel, it follows Lord of the Rings, the entire trilogy, in one gigantic book, basically, very closely. And then, there's always been copycats. Every time somebody comes out with a novel that does extremely well, there are dozens of people who try to replicate that success. And back in the day, there were publishers willing to publish those books because they wanted to cash in too. And of course, once self-publishing became an option through Amazon and other means, it expanded that issue. Now, AI is making it quicker to do it. But here's the important part of all of this. AI is a tool. It's not the villain. If somebody uses a hammer to break a window and get into a house and steal stuff, are you going to blame the hammer? Or are you going to blame the person who used it? The flip side of all this is that AI is doing incredible things for people who genuinely want to tell stories, who want to write stories, including me. It lowers the barrier to entry. It overcomes things that people have struggled with for years. And I'm talking about myself in this, because I struggled with several aspects of trying to write what I wanted to write for years and years. I always wanted to do it. I always wanted to publish something, to finish an actual goddamn novel and publish the son of a bitch. But I could never get there. AI tools have finally, after so many years of frustration and not being able to do it, have allowed me to do it. So, am I thankful for those tools existing? Yes, goddamn right I am. Do I get angry when I have people trying to say that I'm not a real storyteller, I'm not a real writer or author because I use AI to actually finally, after so long of not being able to do something I've always wanted to do, I can finally do it now? because tools exist that finally have allowed me to get past problems that I had that kept me from finishing. Does that insult me? Yes. Does it hurt me? Yes. You know, you can think of it kind of that writing a novel is an endurance sport. And if AI helps a writer finally reach the end of the story they've always wanted to tell, for years in many cases, sometimes over a decade or more, how is that a bad thing? Tell me how that's bad. Because telling the story, it doesn't matter how you get the goddamn words on the paper or into the machine, the computer. If it's the story you have in your head that you want to tell, and that's what ends up in front of people at the end of the day, then that's what being an author is all about. Telling a story. I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions about the proper use of AI with writing. People get this idea in their head that people are just pushing a button and somehow miraculously you end up with a novel. Well, sure, if you want it to be shit, but if you actually want something good, that's not how you have to do it. You have to be the director of the movie. The AI can take the place of actors and the set designer, and it can help you expand on things, flesh things out. It can help you with your outline and make sure things are organized. It can help with lots of aspects. It can help you ghostwrite your prose if that's something you struggle with. It can help with all the different parts of writing a novel, except for being someone that has an idea and a story they want to tell. As long as you go into it acknowledging that there are going to be hiccups along the way and that you are still going to have to be the one in charge, it is your story that is being told. The AI tools are just there to help you get it out. Let me look at my notes here. Kind of getting off on, I'm getting emotional here. And I lost my place in my notes. Bear with me. Yeah, back to the director's chair thing. So, yeah, you're the one who decides what to keep and what to toss away. It's your ideas, your sense of taste, your understanding of the genre you're writing in, all of that. Everything, it's you, the person who you are, is still guiding the story every step of the way. The AI is giving material, but you are the one who gives it soul. It is still your story. You're the one who makes all the creative calls every step along the way. And I think a lot of the naysayers of AI don't understand that. They think that being a writer means that you need to sit and stare at an empty page or an empty WordPad doc or whatever for hours upon hours at a time. And if you're using some sort of technology to speed up the process and get around the roadblocks in your way, somehow that's cheating. That's bullshit. We know it's bullshit. They know it's bullshit. Deep down, no one accuses a carpenter of cheating because they're using power tools instead of hammer and nail or a saw, handsaw. No one says you're cheating if you cross a lake with a boat instead of swimming. Why? Because you're using tools for overcoming limitations or simply using tools that are better at the job than the older tools. Can you do fine hand work with like a chisel and hand tools? Yes. Some people really love that sort of thing. But if you really want to be more productive, you use the power tools. If you don't want to die and drown because you don't actually have the physical capability of swimming across the lake, you use a goddamn boat to get you across the lake. It's not cheating. It is using technology to overcome obstacles, to accentuate your strengths and remove weaknesses, or at least get past them. And honestly, I think the people who are the loudest about hating I don't think they're really worried about the art at all. I think what their reaction really is saying to me is that they're afraid of things changing. They're afraid of their process no longer being the thing that gets the best results. They're afraid, in the case of many artists that I see complain about AI, they're afraid of being replaced. And money that they want to make is going to go to a machine that does what they do, only potentially better. But even that's bullshit. It's a nonsensical fear. I have used AI art generators, image generators, and they are not, by any stretch of the imagination, perfect. You have to mess around quite a bit and do all sorts of things to finally get usable results a lot of the time. When you're using AI for writing, there are flaws, which I'm going to go into. You will always have better results when there is a person involved, in my opinion. But that, again, that is where they get these stupid misconceptions. They think that you're just pushing a button and generating a novel out of thin air. No. If you are using AI tools as a writer to aid you, you are still the person. If you want really good artwork that matches your book, you go to an actual artist. The problem for a lot of people is that that can be very expensive. So we turn to AI tools because they're cheaper and you can get usable results. Not going to be the best results necessarily, especially for artwork. But we use the AI to get past a limitation. Lack of money. I struggle with prose writing. I use the AI to get past that limitation and get into something that I'm actually good at, which is reading, editing, making adjustments, adding, subtracting, changing wording. That is what I'm better at. Writing the prose, I get bogged down, I get frustrated, I give up, I quit. But by letting the AI act as kind of a ghostwriter, I can play kind of editor and tell the story in the way I want it to be told. And that's really the trick to the whole thing. If you want to call it a trick, it's the reality. AI is not magic. It is a machine. It has limitations. It can be repetitive. It can lose plot points. It can be very generic. You have to learn the quirks of any AI that you're using in order to steer it correctly. And it's like any other tool. You have to learn to use any tool properly in order to get results that you want. You could have all the carpentry tools in the world, power tools, the hand tools, all the best tools. If you don't know how to use them, then you're not going to be able to make anything. So, there will always be people behind the machines if you want to produce anything that's actually any good. Now, if you've started your own writing journey and you're interested in learning to use AI tools effectively without losing your voice, I have some resources I've made that can help you with that, and those are in the description of the video. So I want to leave you with just this one thing. Writing can be hard. Use the tools available to you so that you can finally start and finish your story. And don't let anybody tell you that you're a bad person just because they're afraid of technology, afraid of progress, the future. Afraid because they don't understand it and don't want to take the time to understand it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.